When I tell people that I make a living as a freelance writer, their first question is, how can I become a freelance writer? Especially when I tell them that I make a full-time salary on part-time hours. It seems like everybody and their mom is trying to get into freelance writing these days. If you search the phrase freelance writing on Google or YouTube, you'll get thousands of results on how to become a freelance writer, work from home, travel the world, etc. But the truth is, being a freelance writer is difficult, especially when you're just getting started. I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups for freelance writers, and time and time again, I see new writers introduce themselves and then fall off the face of the earth. Why? Because freelance writing is not for everyone. And most people quit before they even make their first grand. Don't get me wrong. I love my work. I believe in freelancing. I love the flexible schedule. I love that I can travel. I like working with clients. I like working from home. And I actually love writing. But if you want to be a freelance writer, watch this video because I want you to make sure you're getting into this for the right reasons. And I want you to know what sorts of cons you should expect. So keep watching to find out why you shouldn't be a freelance writer. And then if you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, none of those reasons apply to me, well then we'll talk about maybe how you could become a freelance writer. Okay, let's go. Okay, number one reason why you shouldn't become a freelance writer, you don't love writing. You don't necessarily need to have incredible writing skills to become a freelance writer. Like, if you practice, those will come. But you do need to love writing because you're gonna be spending a lot of time doing it. Like, we're talking 10, 15, 20 hours per week of writing. Does that sound fun to you? Like, it doesn't matter if you got A's or B's on your papers in high school or college. Did you like writing them? Or did you wait until the last possible moment and then your way through it? If you aren't completely obsessed with writing and you don't want to do it for like 3 hours a day, then being a freelance writer is not for you. Okay, on the flip side of this, let's say that you only want to write. I think a lot of people envision that they're going to be in a coffee shop just writing and writing and writing and writing, and that's going to be it. That's going to be their whole life. But I have news for you. If you want to become a freelance writer, you're going to be doing a whole hell of a lot more than just writing. When you're a freelancer, you are a small business owner, which means you have to wear a lot of hats, which is a phrase that I hate, but allow me to elaborate. So as a freelancer, you're gonna be your own marketer, salesperson, web developer, project manager, and bookkeeper. As you grow your business, you can outsource some of these tasks, but when you're first getting started, it's just you, buddy. P.S. I have a course that teaches you how to do all that stuff. It's called the Freelance Writer's Guide to the Galaxy. The link to it is in the description. If you want to just write and do absolutely nothing else, then maybe consider becoming a staff writer for a publication or a copywriter at an agency. In those roles, you can focus more on the writing and not so much the running the business aspect of things. Number 3, you don't have a niche. When you're starting out as a freelance writer, you have to choose a niche for several reasons. It may seem like a good idea to just take any freelance writing gig that comes along. Like, money is money, right? But you'll do your best work if you write about a topic you really know about. Plus, marketing yourself is so much easier if you have a specific skill set. Think of it like this. If you have a craving for barbecue, do you go to a restaurant that only has one barbecue dish on their 5-page menu? Or do you go to the place in town that only makes barbecue and they're famous for it? Of course, you're gonna pick the famous barbecue joint every time. It's the same way when you're marketing yourself as a freelance writer. Instead of being a generalist, you want to be the person that people want to hire when they need a writer in your niche. The general rule of thumb when choosing a niche is to pick a topic that you know about and have experience in. And that's also an industry where you can easily find clients. For example, I chose beauty as my niche because I already had some experience working in the beauty industry and I knew quite a bit about it. Number 4, you don't have a writing portfolio. So look, you won't be able to book any clients without a freelance writing portfolio. And if you don't have any experience already, that means you're gonna have to write new samples on spec, which means that you're just like writing them for pretend clients without getting paid. So I recommend starting a portfolio with 3 spec pieces that demonstrates your writing skills. Like, pretend that you're writing for a client that you really want to work for and really show the world what you can do. This has to be good, like don't half-ass it. Then find a place to post that portfolio. You don't have to get like super fancy. My first portfolio was on Behance, and actually you can see it in this video, which is kind of embarrassing, but whatever. If you want help building your own freelance writing portfolio, then check out my coaching programs because that is a service that I offer to you. Number 5, you don't love learning. If you want to be the best freelance writer you can be and then get paid accordingly, which is the name of the game here at the Freelance Writer's Guide, you'll also need to spend a lot of time learning. Like, expect to read a lot of blog posts, listen to podcasts, read books about how to blog better, invest in your education with courses, coaching, whatever. You don't have to spend a lot of money on it. There's a lot of free resources out there, but you need to learn a lot, both about writing, running a business, and your niche, of course. Number 6, you just want to make a bunch of money. Freelancing is great because it gives you a lot of freedom with your schedule. You can travel, spend time with your baby or whatever. That's great. But freelancing is definitely not the best way to make money if your goal is just to get really rich. Freelance writing is a service-based business, which means that you're providing a service rather than a product to people. And because it's service-based, it's really difficult to scale. Since you're selling your service, you're basically selling your time and you have a limited amount of time that you can work. Obviously. Once you have a full roster of clients, the only way you can make more money is by raising your rates. And there's only so far that you can raise your rates when you're a freelance writer. For most industries, as a copywriter, that's gonna top out at like $200 an hour. Technically, you could move to an agency format and start outsourcing your work, but that's a whole other story for another time. So if you're looking for a quick buck, I do recommend maybe going for a product-based business rather than a service-based business. A couple years ago, people were super into Amazon drop shipping, and now you can get like products from Alibaba and like sell them on Shopify and whatever. There's other ways to get rich quick. Freelancing is not one of them. Number 7, you're not organized. Being a freelance writer means you have to keep track of a lot of details. Do you have systems in place to keep everything organized when you get really busy? When you have multiple clients, how will you handle their emails so that you don't miss anything? How will you keep track of your income and expenses so that you can do your taxes? How will you make sure you complete all your projects on time? If you're a person with 2,000 unread emails in your inbox and no idea how to use a spreadsheet, you're gonna have a hard time running a freelancing business. It doesn't mean you can't learn, but it will be a big change for you. Number 8, you're afraid of sales. You gotta hustle when you're starting out as a freelance writer. I began my business by emailing beauty businesses that had blogs that hadn't been updated in a long time. I made a huge spreadsheet where I tracked all those potential clients. Then I made it my goal to cold pitch 5 of those potential clients every single day. I was persistent and followed up several times, which I also kept track of in the spreadsheet. Once I received a response, which I rarely did, I had to get that person on the phone and convince them to hire me. It was difficult and I was frequently rejected, sometimes rudely, but you have to cold pitch if you want to make money freelance writing. And you have to be consistent and keep trying to build your client roster. By the way, if you're interested in cold pitching but you don't know what to say, I have a free cold pitch kit on my website and it has 5 different templates for cold pitching the different types of clients. So check it out. Number 9, you don't value your time or skills. A lot of freelancers make the mistake of charging pennies per word through big freelancing platforms like Upwork or Fiverr. That's a big mistake. And I'll tell you why. Like, granted, to get started, you do need to take a few low-paying gigs to get some testimonials. My first job on Upwork, I got paid $25 for 2,500 words. But let me tell you this, I crushed it. I got a 5-star review and I got out of there. Writing is, of course, a creative endeavor, and you can't be creative when you're freaking out about money. If you're not sure how much to charge for your writing, here's a simple formula. Figure out how much money you need to pay your bills and eat in a month, divide that by how many hours you want to work in a month, and add at least 25% to that since you're not gonna have a full client roster right away. You'll have to charge more if you live in an expensive area, and that's okay. But here's the thing. Good clients, the kinds of clients you want to work with that are like nice and like respectful, they pay more. People who pay rates will ghost you, criticize you, they don't respect you, so they treat you badly. You need to respect yourself and charge what you're worth. And as you build your book and continue to improve your skills, you'll be able to raise your rates higher and higher and work with better and better clients. Number 10, you're afraid to say no. There will be a lot of opportunities that will come your way that just will not be worth it for you. But every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, even if it hasn't come your way yet. For example, maybe this is something that's happening in my life. You're dating people who aren't really what you want, but that's taking time away that you could be spending looking for someone who is what you want. Anyways, so be clear about the type of people you want to date or the type of client that you're looking for, and say no to everything else. You'll be a lot happier and do better work if you fill your schedule with work that you're actually excited about, or dates that you're actually excited about. Number 11, you don't have something to live off of. Whether it's a part-time job, a partner you can lean on for support, or a fat savings account, you're gonna need some extra cushion while you start your freelance writing business. I made $850 my first month of freelance writing. It took me 6 months to make enough money to live off of. And at the time, I was living in LA, and with the high cost of living, I was not making enough to make ends meet. So even though I had some money saved, I burned through my savings in 2 months. I was so broke that I had to sell all of my furniture and drive across the country to move in with my parents in Ohio. I lived with them for about 8 months while hustling my off before making enough money to travel full-time, which was my goal at the time. If you'd like to see more of how I started my freelance business and my whole story, you can watch this video. But anyways, I was really lucky because I did have that support system in place. So the question is, do you have something to help keep you afloat while you start your business? Because without a support system, you're more likely to say yes to shitty clients who pay you garbage rates for work you don't even want to do. And that's a one-way ticket to Burnout City, my friend. Also, keep in mind that as a freelancer, your income is going to vary wildly from month to month. So are you prepared for that? For example, in May 2018, I made $1,837.82. But then the next month, in June 2018, I made over $20,000. You never know when your next big paycheck is coming. So it's important to have some cash in the reserves or a nice credit limit to help with your finances. Number 12, you're not focused. If you want to be a freelance writer, you have to work your ass off, especially when you're just getting started. Will you be able to stay on task when you don't have your boss breathing down your neck? Will you show up to work every morning and stay until closing time? Or will you be tempted to procrastinate with social media and household chores? I'll be honest, this is the hardest part of freelance writing for me. Sometimes it's like impossible for me to focus. Luckily, there are a lot of time management techniques that you can use to help you avoid procrastinating. Look, you gotta find ways to keep yourself pumped up and motivated. Like, have a focused playlist or listen to like some spiritual podcasts or something. If you can't stay focused, you're not gonna make it as a freelance writer. Number 13. This is the last one. You don't like being alone. So I think, you know, we all used to fantasize about working from home, but then when we did get to work from home, we kind of realized maybe there were certain things that we missed about being in an office. I started working from home prior to 2020. When I had a traditional job, I hated the pressure of having to be there at a certain time every day. But once I started working from home, I really missed talking to people. Like, I really missed it. Every day at lunchtime, I texted my roommate to see when she'd be home in the evening. And then in the evening, I basically waited at the door for her like a dog. It was creepy, but I was like desperate for human interaction. That being said, there are lots of ways to get around the loneliness of being a freelance writer. For example, you could join a co-working space. You can schedule more social activities. But just know that the loneliness is a big part of being a freelance writer, and it's a huge bummer. Like, you don't have anybody on your team, it's just you. I recommend joining some communities for freelance writers. For example, if you join the Freelance Writers Guide, we have a community of freelance writers. You can link up, do co-working sessions, just have Zoom calls just to talk about business. And when you're a freelancer, you're probably not gonna have a lot of people in your social circle who own their own business or are freelance writers, and that can be isolating. So I recommend that you expand your network and try to meet other people that are business owners or freelancers. Okay, so look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be a freelance writer, because if all of these things sound like they're not that big of a deal to you, or you can make them work, then great, you can probably be a freelance writer. I don't see why you couldn't. I mean, after all, freelancing has some significant perks. Like, I love that I have the flexibility to wake up late, work whatever hours I want, and I can go travel if I feel like it. But there definitely are some cons to freelance writing. If you're gonna go quit your job and go into the wild west of freelancing, I just want you to know what to expect. If you need some help getting started, I have lots of videos on my YouTube channel, so make sure you hit subscribe and follow along. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram with lots of free tips. I have a website with blog posts and freebies like my cold pitch kit, a freelance rate calculator, an SEO checklist, and then I have a course that's completely self-guided. It's called the Freelance Writer's Guide to the Galaxy. It teaches you everything that you need to know about launching, growing, and running a freelancing business. And I also offer one-on-one coaching if you need some more help and support, if you would like me to edit your portfolio pieces, give you guidance on what you should include in those portfolio pieces, and help you make a website. All that stuff is on my website, which I will link below. If you have comments, questions, concerns, just leave a comment. Okay, I'll talk to you later, buddy. Bye. I have to replace this light switch. It is so ugly. So ugly. Just sit in front of it. I hate it. Do you like this blazer? I think it's fun. I look like a business clown, which I am. I am a business clown. Who is texting me? Uber Eats once again. Just leave me alone. I don't need to eat Chinese food 2 days in a row. Okay.